1.3 billion people in 107 developing countries. Around 22% of the world population live in multidimensional poverty, a measure that reflects multiple deprivations that poor people had to face in education, health, and living standards. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Alyssa and Evania, and here I want to tell you how the stabilization of international trade through multilateralism can help developing countries with poverty. Poverty has long been here in the global world. On a global scale, it was discovered after the Second World War, around 1945. It slowly went down, reaching a scale of 10.5% on 2019, and the recent study by the World Bank in April 2022 patched the poverty rate at 10%. A developing country with extreme poverty will put their society under great pressure. Foreign economic is an important aspect for their daily lives. So one of the things that can help the world to heal a little by reducing the poverty is trade. Yeah, trade among countries all over the world, or we usually call it as the global trade. Maybe the word of global trade brings to mind images of modern buildings, broad internet connections, and maybe some complex trade agreements. However, this global trade is necessary for the almost 1 billion poor people living on less $1.25 a day who struggle to connect themselves to trade opportunities. But here is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. I think if the developing countries try to get into the global trade circle, it might feel like just a little Nemo swimming in an infinite ocean with all kinds of fish. And just like how it has always been, the unique, old and scary fish will be able to dive deep into the deep side of the ocean. And the small young fish mostly just be able to stay on the surface of the water. That's what happened right now. The developed country, the country with strong economy, will be able to dive deep into the deep side of the global trade. But the developing country, mostly they will just be able to stay outside of those circles, not being able to stay on the deeper side. However, the multilateralism has been the key to the huge economic successes of the past half-century. Mauritius, one of the most open economies in sub-Saharan Africa, exemplifies how trade can be a strong instrument to achieving the advantages. Now imagine if most of the developing country can get into the global trade. It might be beneficial for them, as well as beneficial for the other country on the same global trade. Countries open to international trade tend to go faster, innovate, improve productivity, and provide their people with higher incomes and more opportunities. Let me put another example of successful initiatives that put developing countries' economy to its better place. In Kenya, flower exports have seen a growth rate of 35% annually over the last 15 years, sustained by the trade incentives. Open trade benefits lower household by offering consumers more affordable goods and services on the condition that this global trade must remain stable so that the developing country can always track the economical development from all around the world. And we can start a beneficial circle by stepping foot first to know what a country must have, what a country must prepare before they get into the global trade. As I said before, it's harder for a developing country to get into the deeper side, the deeper circle of the global trade, because they will, any country will have their own competitors. But I think it is harder for the developing country to keep their place in the global trade because they have so much more to be taken care of. A developing country needs to keep its economic in place before they try to get into this whole global trade things. First, they have to organize what their societies, what their country needs. Maybe Indonesia, we often export our palm trees. And the way we usually process it before sending it to our customers is using a machine that needs fuel, that needs money to keep them working. Well, you know what? It's actually fine. However, Indonesia, our country, still has its own cases of poverty too, right? I mean, it's not a secret that Indonesia agrarians is great as it is. But as we can see, in this era, the students that are interested on the agrarian studies are being reduced. I do not know if it is because they are afraid they will not be qualified for a job that makes enough money for them, or there's just nothing to grab their interest. But ladies and gentlemen, believe me that the society's stereotypes brings a lot more impact on this loss of interest. Parents telling their children to work hard so they will not work as farmers as children is a simple example of this stereotype. Maybe they had the idea when the colonialism happened, the weaker locals must have to work as farmers? I don't know, but did they know that in 1984, President Suharto was credited with formulating policies so that Indonesia would achieve self-sufficiency in food until at least 1996? We have had that glory time. Our agrarian sector has had its glory time. So why don't we try to achieve it again? The government can start to reduce the poverty, as well as replay that glory time and prepare what they need for the trade. The government can create a place where the fresh graduate agrarian students can work together with everyone on his job. And when they consider the end product quality can be put into the global trade and it will not fall, then the circle of this trying to put an end to global trade will always go on and on. This way, multilateral trade can help smaller developing countries to be able to get into the circle of the global trade, which will be more beneficial to those developing countries despite trying to fix their internal economic problems. Well, under the title of global trade, a country will have economic interactions with a lot more countries. In multilateral trade, having the same multilateral sounds confusing. It's a fact. But according to the World Bank, trade is the best way that we can use to end the global poverty. Trade for developing countries. From here, the stabilization of the trade needs to be maintained so that a country that has been able to carve their path in multilateral trade can always keep their economic growth and be able to put their place in the global trade. I think that's all from me. Thank you.